Thanks for being with us here on CBS News Chicago. I'm Marisa Vedra, bringing you another installment of our interviews with the candidates to be aldermen in Chicago's April 4th runoff municipal election. Joining me now is Tina Hone. She is fighting to become 5th Ward alderman. Thank you for being with us, Tina. We appreciate it.
I appreciate being with you.
Can you tell us why you want to be alderman?
Yes. It's not just wanting to be alderman, it's wanting to be alderman for the 5th Ward in particular. I feel made for this ward. This is a diverse and complex ward. My background is diverse and complex. My mom's African American. My father was an immigrant from the former Yugoslavia. I grew up in a low-income home, but I had the opportunity to go to the University of Chicago, and so have had many, many opportunities in my life because of that. I believe that, like, my background, my personal background, allows me to understand all parts of this ward. So it's the challenges of parts of the ward and the opportunities of part of this ward. I also think that my professional background, I spent 20 years in Washington, D.C., working on a range of policy issues, nearly all of them very focused on equity and social justice. That background and experience allowed me to understand how government works, how to get things done, and what levers to pull to make things happen. I think that all of that experience, and also as Chief Equity Officer at YWCA, working out of the Woodlawn location, which is in the ward. And then I was Chief Engagement Officer in the mayor's office. So I saw from the inside how the city works and doesn't work. And it's given me a lot of insights and ideas on how we can make this a better city, one ward at a time, beginning with the 5th Ward.
On that note, in the 5th Ward, what would you say or what are you hearing is the #1 issue, and what is your solution?
The #1 issue in the 5th Ward, as it is across the city, is public safety. People don't feel safe in the 5th Ward, and we need to do something about that. The solutions, though, are not simple. And so on one hand, we have to make sure that there is adequate policing and that policing is fair, just, and transparent. There's a reason why trust was broken between particularly the African American community and the police department, and so that trust needs to be restored. And while that's happening, though, the community has to be safe. And so that's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation, though, is making sure the root causes of crime are addressed. I was a lawyer at a private law firm, and I quit practicing law in 1992, so older than some of the candidates in this race were born, to fight against the root causes of violence. And that includes, failures in our public education system, the untreated trauma. There is a ordinance and a slogan called "Treatment, Not Trauma." I've been talking about dealing with unresolved trauma since before that became a slogan. We've got to deal with that because that is the root cause of many, many problems. And then a very simple solution: people don't have jobs. We need jobs for kids, and we need jobs for the parents of kids. And so we need to have some type of comprehensive economic development program so that people don't feel hopeless and lost because there's no economic opportunity. And so dealing with, those are some of the root causes. We need safe places for kids to be kids. A lot of our kids, there are programs for kids, but sometimes you just want a safe place to hang out with your friends, and we need to create those spaces for them. So those are some of the solutions when we look at root causes. But to make our community safe, we've got to deal with both, the law enforcement and root causes, but we also know we're not going to police our way out of this. The police will tell you that.
So Chicago voters ousted the incumbent mayor. There's going to be an unprecedented number of new city council members, new aldermen. That could include you should you be elected. And how does that newness shape your perspective on the job going in?
So I'm actually incredibly excited by the opportunity that is presented by having this almost clean slate. The Chicago way doesn't have to remain the way. I worked I worked for Mayor Lightfoot. I was in the mayor's office. I actually believe that there are systems that can be put in place that make Chicago a more effective city. I think that among the things that we have to look at is making sure that the city council is a true co-governor of the city. I cut my teeth in policy in the federal arena where Congress is very much a balance on the executive branch. We need for city council to be a true balance on the executive branch, creating its own committees, appointing its own chairs, but also being accountable and understanding that you're not just responsible for your ward, but a fiduciary for the entire city. I think that would be change the way our city works, because right now we get sort of feudal and fiefdomy, which can be a logjam in making progress. I also think we need to think about looking at someone like a city manager, someone or a COO, someone who's making the agencies talk to each other and coordinate with each other. There really isn't that position in the city, and it needs to exist. And so if we did that, we would have fewer situations where, and this happened in our ward, a street is paved and a month later you have to tear it up because the sewer line underneath it, that was from the 1892 Columbia expedition, broke. If we had some type of coordination, I think that would be incredibly helpful. We also need a city charter. We don't have a city charter, that we don't have a constitution for this city. And so that actually impacts, again, our ability to function. We become at the whim of whomever the mayor is. I also think, though, this is another place where my experience matters. I joke with people on the campaign trail. I actually do know where the bathroom is, and so I'm not going to show up in city council not knowing where anything is. I know how the city council works. I know how government works generally. And for all those folks on the campaign trail say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, I also know how to count to 25, because we are basically legislators and we have to figure out how to work with our colleagues to get things done. And so learning how to count to 25 is an incredibly important skill set, I think, in this job.
Tina Hone running for 5th Ward Alderman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Joining us now is the other candidate for Alderman in the 5th Ward, Desmon Yancy. Desmond, thank you for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We want to start by asking you why you want to be Alderman.
I want to be Alderman because I grew up essentially in South Shore. My family has lived in the community for almost 50 years, mostly on the south end of the South Shore area. And it's just been a key part of my life. And so as I've gone through spending the last few years as a community organizer, really working to bring policy change to, all of our communities, I've actually watched the 5th Ward slip and, be the result, the victim of disinvestment. And so as I've seen what is possible in order for us to win and to transform our communities, I want to play a key role in it.
What would you say is the #1 issue right now in the 5th Ward, and what are your solutions?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, just like all across the city, is public safety. People in our city don't feel safe. And our ward comprises of 4 key communities, Hyde Park, South Shore, Woodlawn, and Greater Grand Crossing. And they all have very different needs when it comes to public safety. However, my approach is one that I think is singular across all the areas of the ward that involves the community. I spent 6 years working to create the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability in the district councils. And I think that it's important that through that work that the community plays a key role in establishing our public safety in our communities, whether it is looking to find funding for mental health programs and other root causes of violence in our communities, that each community has slightly different needs. And by really digging into the voices that are on the ground and the people who are most affected is going to be where we find the solutions.
So Chicago voters ousted an incumbent mayor. There's going to be a slew of new aldermen that could include you should you be elected. How does that newness shape how you look at the job moving forward?
I think it's just a great opportunity to make huge steps forward in transforming our city. If you look at the elections over the last 2 or 3 city councils, we've taken big steps towards the left, but also big steps towards making communities feel less of the pain of the disinvestment that has happened, particularly Black and brown communities. And so as we look at this opportunity with a number of new seats in city council, a lot of them in the Black community, we're just ripe for change, ripe for transformation, and I see nothing but opportunity there.
Desmon Yancy running for alderman in the 5th Ward. Thank you for your time and being with us.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. And be sure to stay with us on CBS News Chicago as we continue to interview the candidates ahead of the April 4th municipal runoff election.